Hi, thank you very much for joining BIP Chat. So yes, there's a clue in the term, there's a chat, and today I'm having a chat with the amazing lady that I'm going to introduce you to at the moment. And the conversation we're going to have is all about growing your business and exiting, which is something that, I don't know, we might get into statistics, but I certainly speak to a lot of people that want to exit and have exited, some not so successfully, and also some don't know what to do when they have exited. So we're going to have a really interesting chat about this, and I'm going to give you a little bit more insight to the exact sort of conversation the two of us are going to have. So let me first of all talk to you a little bit about what BIP Chat is before I introduce you to Liz Jackson MBE. So BIP stands for Business is Personal. It's something that my husband Thomas and I, who've run our business together for over 30 years, believe very deeply that business is personal, not just from the point of view of how you can create that emotional connection with others. And my keynote is a human touch in the digital world. How can you make people feel that they've been seen and loved and cared for, and that they are significant to you as a supplier, as a customer, whoever, your friend? It's very important. We spend so much time online. But it's also personal from the way that we treat ourselves, and whether or not I really believe that our emotional wealth, as I called it back in 2001 when I first started writing about this, has an impact on our financial wealth. You know that when you feel confident, when you feel well, when you feel healthy. And in BIP, our community, BIP 100, we have a very holistic attitude to the way that we want you to grow and enjoy. And as our daughter says, Hannah says, be in flow. So we work very, very hard. We started this 4 years ago to find powerful people who have amazing values. And how do we measure power? Well, it's about their expertise, about their legacy of expertise, what their journey has been through, what has honed their expertise that they are now passing on to others. And so that is our main reason for doing this, is to really find those people. And of course, we then nurture them and connect them with one another and connect them with you. I believe it's harder sometimes, well, often I believe it's harder to find a supplier that you know has the expertise, but also has the values that means you can really trust them and know that they will go on a very a journey with you of honesty and integrity throughout. So now let's talk about the main part of this, which is Liz Jackson. Now, I've known Liz many, many years. I first heard of her actually on the speaking circuit because she was really celebrated, and it's still celebrated, for being a brilliant businesswoman. She built a business in Hampshire, building a telemarketing business that grew and was incredibly successful. She had a successful exit from that. So her journey of understanding how to grow and then exit a business, and then what do you do next, is highly relevant to what she is doing now. So now she is sales and marketing director of a employee-owned, I should say, organization called Initium Corporate Finance. That's spelled INITIUM, Corporate Finance. If you would like me to connect you to Liz, I'd be delighted to. Contact me through LinkedIn, or of course, I will show you how to find her on LinkedIn towards the end. So this is a corporate finance company, and its focus is on supporting ambitious entrepreneurs, adding exceptional value before, during, and after the deal. And in this session with Liz, we're going to learn a little bit more about her legacy, her past, what she has actually achieved in her life, and why she was given an MBE, and look at tips on focusing on the KPIs that really matter, that will have that impact on the value that you will get for an exit. And that is very important to get those. So you're going to get some real strong learning from this. So Liz, thank you very much for waiting for me to stop my rambling. Lovely to have you with us. I've been very excited about this conversation. So Liz, I've given a little bit of a sort of highlight of you. Tell us a little bit more about you and your journey through life and business, so that people feel they've got some sense of connection to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Penny, goodness, you do that so brilliantly and so fluently that I feel quite intimidated. So I will do my best. But yeah, I mean, I guess work has been my absolute passion and joy. I I would describe myself more as a school of life person than a person who has climbed an academic ladder and then moved into business. I kind of joined the world of business when I was 17 and did an apprenticeship. And I guess what was just wonderful for me is I had the opportunity to work directly then for an entrepreneur who had sold 2 businesses previously and had got this gift of being able to start, scale and sell and replicate that success. And so it's quite a rare, skill set to do that. And so, my apprenticeship was working directly for him. And he really taught me just the fun and the satisfaction of building businesses, and showed me all of the overflow benefit of building a business. They weren't necessarily just, financial. It was, how business impacted communities, how it impacted employees' life, how you can, really impact your clients in a positive way. And so working for him was just like the best education you could possibly imagine. And I worked in that business for 8 years, and he was the one really who discovered a skill set that I had in business development. So, I'd never really heard of business development at school. Back then and even now, I don't think anyone really sort of talks much about this wonderful career called sales and or marketing really in secondary school. But that was his thing, is he identified that, that sort of natural innate ability really to get on with people and to persuade people that I had a great idea and a brilliant vision, and use that as we built the business. So I really learned sales. I then learned how to train people to do sales, and did that here, and then did that in the States, and then decided to build my own agency at 25, where another whole layer of education began as you move across the desk and start to become employer instead of employee. And goodness, that was such a huge learning curve. And I started a business and scaled it. It started like many others, in a garage, glamorously in a garage. Then moved into commercial premises, and then bigger commercial premises. And in Basingstoke, we ended up employing about 100 people. And then I franchised it. So learned all about how to do that, which was also another wonderful adventure. We did that 18 times. So we're 18 branches across the country. And we delivered sales and marketing strategies and deployed that across some of the world's leading brands, actually, primarily in financial services, but in all sorts of different sectors, which is great. And I did that for 17 years. So it was just a great, I can't say anything negative. I got the opportunity to do so many things through the world of work, which included getting an MBE. So someone heard me speak at an event and thought it would be a good idea to put me forward for an MBE. I also wrote a book, which was published by Penguin. I travelled the world speaking on stages, much like yourself, Penny, and absolutely, that was fascinating, speaking at a women's conference in Oman, which was really brilliant. And just so many things. Did Secret Millionaire, which was a Channel 4 documentary, and many other things to boot. And business has just always been my playground. And then when I joined a corporate finance business, everything I'd learned, over the many years in business suddenly went from, I guess, black and white to colour, when I started to kind of really understand not what it takes to necessarily have the resilience to build a business and make it operationally good, but what it takes to build a business that one day someone will want to buy. And that was, again, I mean, you honestly, every day is a school day. You just never stop learning, do you, in business? But that was a real hike up in my understanding of what it really, what it is to be a very successful entrepreneur. And that's where I am today.
That's amazing. Amazing. And I think everything you described, this journey, I mean, you're still, to me, seem quite young. So I think, gosh, to have been able to build a business, franchise it, exit it, and now contribute to other ambitious entrepreneurs in this way is absolutely beautiful. And I know your values are very much based on contribution. You're a great listener as well. And so I think it's going to be a great chat. And what we've said that we're going to look at are some of the KPIs, which I think is a fascinating subject, because I've been in the position of a few businesses which I was sort of focused on jam tomorrow, doing a lot of self-sacrificing so that I could see an exit. And now I look back and I almost cringe at myself, because I think, did I really understand what it would take for somebody to be able to buy those businesses? I'm not talking about Academy, talking about a couple after that. Was I really understanding what they're looking for and communicating it right when I was seeking to get the early investors, all of these things. So KPIs is such a fundamental thing to really focus the management team and the company on. So let's go through those, shall we? I think that would be absolutely fantastic. And I'm going to pass the baton over to you, Liz, to how you would guide somebody through those KPIs and what they are.
Yeah, no, that is brilliant. And it is a huge subject. So we're not going to be able to cover everything now. But we can go through a few of them. And I would also say that, there is a need to find out what those KPIs are for your own sector as well, because absolutely they change. But the things that make a business investable and sellable are also the things that make it really sustainable. So even if you've got some listeners here that are saying, well, okay, I don't care about that because I've got no interest in selling my company. None of us know what tomorrow holds, actually. And so I would say, just always build a business that's sustainable, but also build a business that enables you to have choice, for you and your family's sake and your staff's sake. Make sure you build something that, if you had to, could be sold at some point, or could become an EOT, or would be safe in the hands of, like us, the staff, or an MBA, or whatever. Just build something that gives you choice one day, because you don't know what tomorrow holds. So everything I'm going to talk about now just makes your business resilient. And it's a good idea just to change your paradigm. And it is a shift in paradigm for a business owner. I know that you and Thomas are real big advocates of encouraging people to take clarity breaks and spend some time working on the business instead of being in the weeds. And that's what I love about your, the lunches, the BIP lunches, is you just get this opportunity to talk about the helicopter view, the high end stuff, as opposed to just being in the day-to-day. And I think starting to shift your paradigm and look through the lens of an investor at your business is a really good stance to take from time to time. And so what buyers look at and what investors look at is risk. And they go through every element of your business and they start to look at risk. And some of this stuff, to change it, requires courage. So if we start to look at, say the KPIs around your customer base and how you win clients and how you deliver work, one of the things that a buyer might start looking at straight away is, where's the risk in the work that you do, and how do you make your money? So they might say, well, look, let's look at, say, the last 3 years of revenue, and let's look at that by company. And it's really common that a business certainly scales off the back of one or two brilliant accounts that they win. that becomes concerning when that revenue is concentrated, you know. And if you're looking to sell in some industries, the tolerance for a buyer might be, do you know what, we're going to really start to be concerned if client concentration, so revenue from one company, exceeds more than 20%. In some industries that might be 15%, in some industries that might be 40%. It starts to get a much bigger problem if it's bigger than that. But most people scale a business off the back of one or two accounts. So at some point, diluting that client concentration is really important. But then understanding, where do I make my profit? You know, if your biggest client actually is not your most profitable client, then that starts to become a real problem as well. So it's understanding revenue by client and margin by client. And so looking at that and then working out, you know, could I prove my conversion rates? How do I know what they are? Can I track back and see what they've been for the last 3 years at any point in time? And how good am I at forecasting my future? Businesses that are project to project led, lumpy revenues. You know, if you're risk averse, which most buyers are, you know, you want the comfort of being able to know, how does someone make their money and how good are they at forecasting their future? So looking at your contracts, you know, what visibility have you got of work coming down the line? I mean, the best businesses that buyers love are ones with recurring revenue. Subscription based.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, Liz, because I see, just looking at our members and some of the work we do with them, is this feast or famine life that people can live in, which I don't, you know, they're necessarily thinking they're going to exit, but I just look at the stress related to that. And I know we've been out, we exited Academy. I know we had 3 or 4 really great clients that Thomas was a NED of, or I was doing some consulting for, or whatever. And that risk, just for the owner of the business and the stress they carry. And then, you know, I look at the model we have now of 100 clients, and when we group them all together, it's a nice small business for us. But losing one might be heartbreaking, because you feel a deep emotional connection to people when you build but it's not going to break the business or break us as a family. You know, it's and so that whole movement now towards monthly recurring revenue, the MRR models, I find really fascinating. And it's amazing how many people don't realize they can move their business onto that sort of model. But
absolutely. Yeah, and they can. You know, we see businesses that do things like manufacture capital equipment, and they had been selling those machines, you know, as capital investment. And so, you know, 250,000 per shot or £1 million per shot for a piece of equipment. Moving that to a rental model can also not only, you know, smooth your revenue, but also it might unlock other industries. So you might find that actually, you know, if you already sell to one sector, perhaps, you know, another sector is more tolerant of a kind of more rental model. So, and actually, you know, having a subscription base or recurring revenue, a retained kind of income, can really help the client as well. And often we don't want to, you know, enter into those courageous conversations with our clients, but often those relationships in business, if you're good at forging relationships with clients, you know, the client wants the continuity if you're supplying a great service too. So
that's really funny. I've got to tell you this. My knee operation recently, somebody said, you must rent one of these, and sent me to this company in Aldershot. I spent £175 for 2 weeks to rent this sort of electric cold pressure machine for my knee. I've just found it on Amazon for £50. And I paid £175 to rent.
Yeah, what a brilliant business model that they're operating. You know, that isn't that fantastic? Yeah, really great. I love it.
That's quite a good case study, isn't it, of how a business, and somehow I don't feel really legged over by them, because I think, well, what would I have done with that now? I'd have it somewhere in my house. It would just be clutter.
Environmentally, you know, you'd probably throw it away, or it'd end up in a charity shop or whatever. The fact that they're going to be keeping it out there, they maintain the equipment as well. It's just, it's a brilliant business model, isn't it?
I know. So somebody might have, maybe your company might have advised on that. Maybe they're heading towards.
Well, honestly, and I love the sharing economy. There are some amazing businesses doing things like, renting out designer gear now.
Yeah.
Where you can rent. You've probably seen it.
Oh, we've got a lady who comes who just absolutely steals the show at every lunch, who dresses beautifully, and she happily says, "So I rented this dress."
Yeah. I mean, love it. And what a brilliant way to make sure that you're, buying better. I just love it. I think it's brilliant.
Oh, it's these eyes that you can have. I know I'm moving away from the KPIs, and I want to come back to it, but and I love this, the way you describe this first bit about, customer value and profit in each customer, etc. But when you're going in and you've got that objective look at a business, you as an organization can look at the business model and say, this is a more sustainable business model for your organization, and help them to start to migrate towards that.
Absolutely. And I think because you've got a holistic view of the market, because we will have advised, probably 15, 20 companies in their sector. Right. So you've got the benefit of having seen what best practice looks like. And in a way, you are drawing on and getting your expertise from seeing what others have done, but being able to share that.
And what the market is wanting.
What the market will tolerate, and what buyers are doing, and all that sort of stuff. So they might be sitting there in their kind of silo thinking, well, this is how we've done it for the last 5 years, so we couldn't possibly change. Our clients wouldn't tolerate that. But actually, if your competitors are doing it, then your clients, others are tolerating it. So it takes a bit of courage, I think, to make those changes.
Changing these business models. And is that really one of the big starting points in when you're looking to help a company have that sort of resilience, sustainability, and exit potential?
Yeah, so customer concentration is one that comes up a lot. I mean, I think the other thing that comes up tons is, the dependency that the business often has on one or two individuals.
Right, within the company.
Yeah, often, the owner or the majority shareholder will sometimes still have a lot of the key account relationships. Yeah. So again, diluting, how accounts are managed and making sure they're done by a team as opposed to one person, that decisions are kind of decentralized, all of that sort of stuff. It's just making sure that when you look at the business, you're not dependent on any one thing. So whether that's a supplier or a client or a particular individual, or that is a really important element, and thinking where's the succession here, especially if one day you want to sell, or God forbid you're ill. I mean, this happens, where you get these horrible, very sad phone calls where someone says the owner's been killed in a car accident, or the owner's just been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. But if all the key relationships, if the business can't run without him or her, then that's risky business. So, it's just starting to think, how do I delegate and elevate others up and around me who can start to lead this business alongside me. So developing a leadership team, and that's often, that really is often an area of work that we have to undertake. And then another thing that we find is that, sadly, entrepreneurs don't always respect the role that an FD or their accountant can play in helping them get a real handle on their business. So really getting under the grips, how do we really make our money, getting a real handle on costs, making sure cash collection happens, especially if you're scaling, because growth is expensive and it can be hard to understand. So having really good, robust financial numbers that you can get, fairly regularly in your hands that inform your decision making is something that we often don't see in businesses in the way that that an investor would look at it and would want to see financials prepared. And that is definitely an area where I would say would enable you, enables good sleep at night once you've really got a handle on that, and you've got that ability to forecast the business moving forward and get really good at accurately, setting a path and delivering against, the goals that you set.
Yeah, love that. So we've had 3 so far: customer dependency on certain staff, which could be the owner, and really being data driven and understanding the decisions and where the money is. And often I think, I can remember many companies before I started my own business, the finance director was just seen as a painful blocker of anything.
Yeah.
Really making sure that FD is seen as being empathetic and understanding of the business drivers and the different personalities, but ultimately data tells us everything, doesn't it?
I think that's true. And then I think probably the next line, which might sound a bit more fluffy than some of the other things I've talked about, but just really making sure that you've got an articulated set vision, and make sure that there's shareholder alignment against that vision and values, so that you don't end up having an FD. You need an FD who lives the company values, and you recruit an FD because they love the values and they can demonstrate that they want to live those values, and they're excited about the course that you've set and the vision and where you're going toward. And then just making sure that you, as owners of the company, because it's often more than one owner, that there's alignment, and that can be often why you take a call, is that actually there isn't shareholder alignment. People, one thought that they would start the business and sell it in a decade, and the other one thought he would, or she would hand it down to the kids. And so, different pathways can cause a lot of, tension. So that alignment around values, vision, in what timescales, how are you going to make that happen? And then having some accountability to make sure that everything you do in the business lives to that, and that is communicated really regularly, and that you can share that kind of thing with people like us, because that's the sort of thing that, buyers or investors invest in businesses, not because of their past, but because of their future. And so we've got a tagline that says everyone gets somewhere in life and a few people get there on purpose. And this is about, there's not many entrepreneurs actually who deliberately set a path and head towards it and achieve it. And that's special. Doing that is really important.
Very good. Love that. What an amazing amount of value you've just given. And I think anybody listening to this, I hope you've absolutely loved it. But you're probably going to now need to, if you've been walking your dog or driving a car, you're going to now need to go back over it and just write down those key points. So let me just share with you a little bit more, Liz, about your business model. How do you work with companies? When is the ideal company for a company, timing, I should say, for a company to contact you? What size would they be? What would their ambitions be?
Well, anyone can contact us at any time. We're always happy to have a chat and share some intelligence of what it's worth. In terms of when people, so we've got lots and lots of friends, including you and Thomas and the BIP network. So we've got lots of friends in our ecosystem. And, often that will be the first recommendation is, look, you need to scale, go and hang out with Penny and Thomas, and they'll help you get to a certain size. We tend to work with people in terms of actually starting a journey with them when they're making about £1 million EBITDA.
Right.
And they're ambitious to grow beyond 2 million EBITDA. So our focus is very much on those advisable entrepreneurs who have already scaled and are really, really ambitious to go to that next stage. And so we help them understand what it takes to go from 1 to 2 million EBITDA. So that's profit, really. And all the help that they need to do that is in our ecosystem. And then obviously helping them go through an exit and then enjoy life afterwards through the Initium Fellows network. So
that's something that I would love to. So before I lose anybody that's listening here, I want to be able to direct you to Liz Jackson. So I'm sure you can work out how to spell that, but always connect with me. You can find her on LinkedIn, or please do ask me and I will connect you as well. But their website is Initium, which is www, obviously, .init, so init, IUM, Initium, INITIUM.com, and you can find more information there. Yeah, so that's around about the sort of size that you're interested, but I do know what you're saying, you know, you're very generous. I know anybody can connect with you, and you know, and they may be, you know, an ambitious person wanting to see what's the best way to get to that 1 million profit. And something you just sort of glossed on there, but I know is really important to you, is there
the fellows.
Yeah, the after an exit, what do people do then? And we come across a lot of people like that. I think there's a term for it. Thomas always uses it, but you know, we've met somebody who exited an enormous high street name.
Yeah.
And you know, he suffered with massive depression for 4 years, and he's just coming out of it now. It can be really hard, can't it? So you create this fellows community, don't you, for them?
Yeah, and we would do this, and I would recommend anyone who's looking to exit their business start working on yourself today, because you need to know who you are post sale, as well as going through a scale up. And you know what happens is people lose themselves when they sell the business. They feel they've lost their identity.
Yeah.
And so we start that, you know, 5 years before the exit, because it can take that long to work out. You know, you spend all this time sort of building a vision for the company and values for the business, and you're like, well, what is my own vision? You know, what do I want in life? I've got, you know, 80 goes around the sun, if you like, hopefully. And you know, it goes quick, and you've got that one chance to really make an impact. It's not a dress rehearsal. And so really understanding what the vision is for your life, and what your personal values are, and how you want to occupy yourself, and what would you do with a big liquidity event if it was to happen? Who do you want to look after, and how do you want to spend your time and make sure that life's still got, you know, it's a purpose, and it's more exciting than the last adventure. You know, it's retirement is depressing. You know, we hear from fellows the whole time that if they ever had to introduce themselves at a dinner party as retired, they'd rather die in a ditch. You know, they are exciting, interested people. And so planning for the exit and what that means for you and your family and all the rest of it is just as important as what it means to the business. And so the fellows is this amazing network of 250 people that have all gone on that journey. And I have the joy of connecting the dots and introducing them to each other, and helping them build portfolio NED careers, or get involved in the third sector or politics, or become a bestseller. We've got people that have become bestsellers and having written like 7 books. We've got people who've cycled Cape Town to Cairo. You know, they go on to do incredible things. And often some of them go on to replicate what they've done several times, but they might invest in someone younger or advise the entrepreneurial world. Everyone wants to give back and share what they've learned. So it's a brilliant thing to be involved in.
How beautiful. What a beautiful end. I think that gives you an insight into Liz with her values, and love that. I think your 5, I think it was nearly 6 actually. I think number 6 was it was, you've got the alignment of the board, and I think that's so important. I can imagine founder conflict is quite a big thing that can happen. And so so everyone, I hope you thoroughly enjoyed that. I've loved that. The time has whisked by, Liz. It's been incredible to have this lovely insight from you. And of course, as I said before, contact me or Liz Jackson MBE directly. You can find her either through the website that we've mentioned, Initium, or on LinkedIn, or through me. And thank you, Liz. Absolutely.
Thanks, Penny. Love that. It was brilliant. Thank you so much.
That's wonderful. Take care.
Bye.